I'm Ken Steele. Welcome to another 10 with Ken. After months of pandemic lockdowns, isolation, health risks, and widespread unemployment, we're all just a little more attentive to each other's well-being. And we're more conscious of the need for life balance. I hope. But for more than a decade, college and university leaders have been increasingly aware of a growing epidemic of anxiety and depression on campus. Last fall's National College Health Assessment found more than a third of students in moderate or serious psychological distress, half experiencing loneliness, and a quarter reporting consistently high levels of stress. Things have not gotten better during the pandemic. Back in pre-pandemic times, I was invited to Carleton University in Ottawa to launch a speaker series to inform their strategic planning process. I was also looking forward to the chance to chat with Benoit-Antoine Bacon, a doctor of neuropsychology and Carleton's new president. I had really enjoyed our interview at the 2017 Ontario Universities Fair, and in particular wanted to explore the topic of mental health in more depth.
What I'd say to the students who come out of difficult circumstances is you don't have to be bound by your past. The journey of healing is always continuous. It's never done. It's never ever done. You're always on the journey of healing, but that's okay. That's what you want.
This week, join me and Benoit-Antoine Bacon on Carleton's Friendship Bench, speaking out about mental health. Let's take 10 and take heart. Good morning, Benoit.
Good morning.
Thanks for sitting down with me to chat.
It's my pleasure.
Why has student mental health become such a priority on post-secondary campuses?
There's a growing realization on campus, in society in general, of the prevalence of mental health issues and of their tremendous impact too. Maybe it's exacerbated in the new generation, but really it's not a new problem. People that say this is an emerging problem, we didn't have that before, they're incorrect. You just have to go back and read one of my favorite books, The Sane Society by Fromm. It's all in there. Alienation, trauma, substance use, suicide. You can read Durkheim, beginning of century. You can go back to Dostoevsky. I think what's happening now is not only the realization, but the acknowledgement, right? The willingness to acknowledge that there's an issue and the willingness to do something about it. It's really the new generation, the young people, the students that are leading the way, that are showing us how to start these conversations. And really, in many ways, I think we're following their lead, and that's how it's become such an emerging issue on campus, because the young people are showing courage. They're prepared to say, it's hard to live in the modern world. We need help. Everybody carries a burden. Nobody has to carry that burden alone. And universities, I think, are taking this issue very seriously.
Benoit, you've been very open about your own past experiences with mental health, and I wonder if you could describe how that gives you insight into the student experience and how it has maybe influenced you as a campus leader.
I have shared, to a large degree, my own personal journey with mental health with the campus community here. I thought it was important to lead from a position of honesty, to start from the truth.
It was in your inaugural address,
yes,
was it not?
Yes, among other places, it was in my installation address.
We're all on a journey. We're walking down the road to life as best as we can. My journey started in a deeply dysfunctional family, and that's a euphemism. So I've only recently started to talk about this. I started when I heard Clara Hughes, the Olympian, speak about her own difficulties. And I remember thinking, wow, you can say those things out loud. But you know what? Clara was so right, talking openly and honestly about mental health issues, their symptoms and their causes, is the first step towards addressing them, both as an individual and as society.
And it's not that my personal journey is anything unique or anything particularly interesting. I think we all carry burdens. Life is hard by definition. Nobody has a smooth ride. It's a tough business. It doesn't mean it's not beautiful. My dad carried his own burdens, and it was not in his culture to feel that he could seek help or even speak honestly about what he was carrying. So it came out in drinking. It came out in various forms of control and violence. He was tyrannical. He was narcissistic. He was abusive, and none of this is his fault, in the sense that when trauma sets in, you're no longer yourself until you're able to emerge from that, right? So when you come out of that kind of family, you don't come out shining. And I figure I was depressed, in and out of depression for the better part of 20 years. And, you know, from the perspective of the substance user, which I was for a long time, using substances is not a problem. It's an attempted solution.
Correct.
It's an attempted solution.
Self-medication.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Of course it is. Once that lifts, and there's part magic, part luck as to how that starts to lift and give you a chance to live in a different way, then every day becomes a gift. And the fact that I'm able to raise my daughter in a safe and respectful home, and that I get to contribute here, at first through teaching and research, and now through university leadership, that's an amazing gift. So the journey of healing is continuing, always continues. It's never done. People who've had that kind of early life experience will tell you it's never ever done. You're always on the journey of healing, but that's okay. That's what you want. It's the most interesting journey there is, right? The people that you don't want to be is those that don't feel they have the right to embark on that journey, right? That don't feel that they have the right to seek help or to speak openly about the healing that they need. So every time somebody speaks out and says, I've been on this journey, well, I'm hoping we're having more honest conversations. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping we're empowering support, and I'm hoping we're saving lives in the exact sense that a life lived in trauma by yourself is a desperate life that you don't want to live. So I wanted to be honest with our community, and I think it's helped to some degree to have these open conversations on campus and to raise the level of the mental health conversation at Carleton.
Right.
Suzanne Blanchard is Carleton's Vice President, Students and Enrollment.
We know that the universities can change the stigma on a campus. We've seen it on our campus for the many years. We're seeing that students are ready to reach out. They're ready to talk about it.
Rebecca Drodge is a recent Carleton graduate.
It gives me at least a sense of comfort knowing that such a figure places so much value and importance on this topic. It's very vulnerable to admit to that someone has experiencing mental health. It's a very personal, intimate thing. So the fact that our president is very open about it, I think it reduces barriers that perhaps exist elsewhere. I'm much more comfortable to go to someone who's expressed that they value mental health, or perhaps that they've experienced it themselves, than I would be to someone who's more closed off to talking about it. So I think removing those obstacles is one of the most important things that kind of helps evolve our culture and Carleton community. Yeah.
What I'd say to the students who come out of difficult circumstances is you don't have to be bound by your past. You don't have to be ashamed of your past. The truth will set you free. Just tell the truth. Live the experience of telling the truth, you know?
Part of the twisted bundle of issues is the stigma that comes around mental illness, that physical illness doesn't usually carry much stigma. No one feels that they're to blame. And so just by talking about it, we're overcoming some of that stigma, right?
The idea that you'd be to blame for mental health struggle is an insane one. By definition. What are the root causes of the mental illness that we carry? There can be genetic bases, although in my view these are overestimated. I think a lot of it is in fact epigenetic. It comes from multi-generational trauma that literally changes the way certain genes are expressed, and that's a much longer conversation. And everybody carries burdens from their early experience, from what they've had to live through, from specific trauma that have happened in life. And from my point of view, it doesn't matter the form of the trauma, right? It's the way that your brain, your neural patterns have been affected by that trauma, the implicit ideas that you've built about yourself and about life that hold you back, and how you must retrain yourself to think of yourself in a different way, to think of the world in a different way. If you've been raised in a way where you're worthless and the world's dangerous, you'll never have a fun day, ever. And you'll need drugs, and you'll consider suicide, and you'll be unhappy. If you get to see a little bit of light and to follow that faint light into a different way of thinking and into a different way of being, then amazing things happen. You realize you're not worthless at all. You realize that you're just a normal person, and that you can expect respect that you can expect, help and support, and then you're on the journey to healing, and that's really a wonderful thing. The world is, the world is both beautiful and dangerous, right? It's how you process the various aspects of the world that builds your internal working model of what the world is. And we have more control than we think about whether the world is perceived as beautiful or dangerous. It's a journey to come to see things differently. It's a journey of hope. It's a journey of resilience. A journey of, ultimately, if you're lucky, gratitude to be alive and to get to live.
Next time, I'll be speaking further with Benoit and Suzanne about Carleton's campus-wide holistic approach to mental wellness for students and staff.
We did the first framework in Canada in terms of responding to students in distress. It's really a campus environment in terms of helping students thrive.
Universities are temples to reason and to the intellect. I think universities, by and large, are missing part of the story.
To be sure you don't miss part of the story, take a moment now to subscribe on iTunes, YouTube, or wherever you're watching or listening right now. You'll also find extensive analysis of COVID-19's impact and implications for higher education at our website, www.eduvation.ca. Thanks for watching. Stay safe and stay well.
Oh, so why has good start.
I love that you club first. That's what a pro does, makes me comfortable.
You do more of these interviews than I do, so you're the pro. He sounds like he's rehearsed so well. So that was good. Now that the sun has come out, I offered to sit on that side looking into the sun. So just so you know, it wasn't my idea to have you.
You want me to put out
interrogated.
The shades? I can pull out the shades. Suzanne, you're up.
We were gonna.
Very hard act to follow.
You know actual stuff about actual things.